Okay, One Piece chapter 490. This was pretty cool to see Sanji actually see a mermaid. That was pretty fucking awesome, man. You know, Sanji just saw this and Sanji got really excited, man. Sanji is probably thinking, how do I go balls deep in that mermaid right there? I've been with a lot of women, but that's something interesting. Like, you know, that's where Sanji's head was going. And, you know, Sanji's a gentleman, so he wouldn't just go balls deep. He, you know, ease it in there. But this was pretty cool, man. The fact that right after Nami says, like, hey, I should have spoke with Lola more when I had the chance. You know, we got to find out how to get down to Fishman Island. It's clearly below where we are now. And now they have a mermaid. So now they're able to get through. So my question is this Empress Hancock chick, if she is down at Fishman Island, is she a mermaid as well? That'd be pretty interesting. You know, the fact that we have an Empress probably married to a warlord or something. Be one of these mermaids, that'd be pretty cool. But that also means if we're going to this island, and if we're going there, we could see a scenario where you have a mermaid that Luffy's fighting. And I don't know about that one. You know, Sanji doesn't really hit women, so that's going to be interesting unless there's like a mermaid king or something. I don't think that there are mermaid kings. I'm not too sure on that one. But with that being said, I do want to kind of focus on the fact that we found out more about how the different Straw Hats got to the Grand Line. That was pretty cool. The fact that Frankie says that he came to the Red Line and over this huge like type of mountain type thing. And he says that he was brought over from when he was 5. And I totally forgot the fact that Frankie had to come from somewhere. You know, people aren't just born out there in the Grand Line where there's nothing. Someone had to migrate there. That's just how human evolution works. Like, people weren't just in California. You know, someone had to go from the east all the way to the west coast and settle there. And so it makes sense that the Grand Line is the same way. So that's on me for not kind of understanding that one. But we also get, you know, the whole thing of Robin, and that was pretty cool to kind of see that. And I like how Laboon gets brought up. And in the last chapter, I left this out because, I mean, I didn't have too much to say about it. But, you know, in the last chapter, Laboon, he's just, you know, making the noises because he's thinking about Brooke. And it goes to the whole thing about, you know, connectivity. And I didn't want to say much on that because I don't want these reviews to be, oh, it's all about being connected and everything, bonds, blah, 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 blah. I didn't want to do that because I didn't want you guys to be like, hey, fuck, man, move the fuck on. So, that being said, I do like the fact that when Luffy says, well, when I sail around to the other half of this, I'll be king of the pirates, and that's a declarative statement. So that means that Luffy is going to, I guess, become king of the pirates. So my theory about Luffy potentially dying isn't true. So if Luffy sails all the way back around, is it possible that he goes back to his home village and as the king of the pirates? That'd be pretty cool to see Luffy go back to where he started and literally be, you know, king of the pirates and kind of show that, like, hey, this is where it started, this is where I am now. That'd be pretty interesting, man. But so on one hand, I do like the fact that Oda is opening up the door even now for there to be a happy ending for One Piece. I thought it was going to get darker, but at the same time, it does show that Luffy does have some dangers waiting on, because Kuma is being interrogated by someone from the Navy. I believe it was Sengoku, and he basically says, like, look, I have to speak to higher ups because you didn't kill Luffy, you didn't bring his head back. And Garp's just like, my grandson isn't the type to go blabbering about this. And in a way, Garp is protecting him. In a way, he is. But at the same time, you know, Kuma can't really reveal why he didn't do it. So that shows me that there is a possibility that Kuma is possibly working with Dragon, Luffy's father. That will be really interesting. And we find out in that conversation that Luffy and the others are still on course to go to the Navy headquarters. And if that happens, shit's gonna hit the fan. They've already gone to Ian's lobby, which I made the mistake of saying was Navy headquarters. It wasn't. So Luffy's on a crash course. Luffy, he's gonna have to, I guess, go to Navy headquarters now. That's gonna be interesting because Luffy's the type, he's going to stumble across that shit. and especially if it's on the way. And that explains why one of the things that we're seeing is the world government's taking interest in him, because Luffy's getting closer and closer to him. You know, it's like you have a threat coming closer to your backyard. You got to deal with it before it gets there. You got to protect your home. So that's pretty interesting. And the other thing that you have to look at is the fact that even Nami says we have to be careful getting closer to Navy headquarters. And I like the fact that Oda is doing what, I pointed out before, the Straw Hats aren't strong enough. We actually see Zoro, and this is pretty fucking impressive. Zoro's training, doing one-arm curls. I'm going, that's pretty impressive right there, because he's got some heavy weight on there. And if you guys don't know, like usually when you do the curls, like I see this a lot. Like a lot of people, they have their elbows kind of bent out when they bench press, or when they're doing curls, like their elbows aren't fully tucked in. Zoro's got good form, elbows tucked in, but he's only using one hand, and he's doing it with a barbell. That's different when you do it with the dumbbell, because the dumbbell's smaller, so it's easier to get an equilibrium or a balance and to maintain good form. Zoro's using a barbell and a barbell, and he's using one hand to do his curls, one hand, and it's good form, firm grip. And more than likely, because Zoro's a swordsman, so he's swinging his swords and everything, and he's having to use the wrist, more than likely when he's lifting, you're probably seeing some type of twisting of the wrist, because that works on the forearm. So that's going to be really interesting to see in the anime if they incorporate that. That would be so badass. I would be marking out if I saw that. But what really impressed me is the fact that as Zoro's training, he's actually doing like the fingertip push-ups, and he's elevated. And I can't do those, but I can do knuckle push-ups, but I can't do them like on the fingers and shit. And anyway, so he has like his legs up in the air, and he's got the barbell up in this insane amount of weight, and he's doing like the finger press. That is so fucking impressive. Zoro's taking this training absolutely serious, man. That was a huge highlight for me. And one other thing I thought was pretty good about this chapter is you have Luffy and the crew. We see them, they're going through like the different stages as they're traveling. Days have passed, and you have Lola telling like the tale of the Straw Hats to her crew, right? And it's just like, okay, the legend's gonna spread, and it's very telling that this is happening. And you have Garp saying Luffy isn't the type to brag, and yet Luffy has witnesses. And we have what appears to be this monster that's looking. What if this is another one of the 7 warlords? Or what if this is like a Navy spy or something? Lola's crew probably got wiped out. And now that makes that paper that Nami has that much more telling. Because what if Nami reaches Lola's mom and Lola's killed or something? Or Lola's on the verge of dying, and it's tied back to this. And it's their departure. Now Nami has issues with Lola's mama. I mean, that's interesting. Again, Oda sets stuff up way back, and it's small stuff, and you think it doesn't matter, and yet it pops back up. Like I hated the Gaimon chapter, and yet it popped up in the cover pages. And Gaimon had a huge role with Buggy. So I mean, just when you don't think it matters, Oda brings it back up, and I'm on to him on that. Like, I've seen enough stuff, particularly when it got to the whole thing with Robin. I was like, shit, Oda's like pulling shit back from here. This is interesting. So I mean, this is pretty good, man. I don't have a chapter question for you guys, but I will say this is a really interesting chapter to read. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, oh shit, I got one more thing. Luffy's thoughts about not going to help Ace, now that's telling, because he trusts Ace, and Sanji says that paper will revert to its original size once the person's healed. So that means that Luffy's gonna see that paper and it gets smaller. And now he's gotta go rescue Ace. And he says, like, my brother will scold me. He's got his own adventures. We're ultimately rivals in the big picture things. But Nami tries to tell him, like, I don't mind if you want to take a detour. We can take a detour. And Luffy is continuing to go on his own adventure. He's going on the water. I mean, that's pretty damn telling. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching the end of the video, guys. Have an awesome day.